Okay, so now that we have the lawn layer, we're going to manipulate this thing a little bit. So what I'm going to do is to try to color up this lawn area. Actually, let's go with the tree area first. So make your trees visible, turn off your lawn, highlight the trees, and let's select a color after we go to the paint bucket tool, which should be the tool way down that looks like a bucket of paint. If you scratch it down, you got the gradient tool, you got the paint bucket tool, 3D material drag drop. We're going to select the paint bucket tool, and now the cursor has turned into a paint bucket symbol, and notice that there's a little point in that cursor, right? So we are right now, the color is set to white and the black background. So we're going to select a color that is, let's say, a tree color. When you put you could either use a swatch or the color table to select. But I'm going to select a green that is, let's just say, a little bit darker. Maybe this one right here. And notice that this guy came to the forefront. And now I'm going to select all of these trees. But before you do that, remember the tolerance. I have tolerances 15 right now. It might work for some area, it might not work for others. So if I click on this area, note that some of it got missed. So maybe it should be a looser tolerance. Control Z, maybe the tolerance should be about 20. And you're going to have to do this with every area, because sometimes it'll go way too much, other times it'll go way too little. After you select a few area, I would stop, and that way this is the only step that I've taken, and if I need to go back a certain area, I can still do that. But then I'll repeat the command again using the paint bucket. It's still in that green, dark green, and I'm going to paint this area, paint that area, paint this area. That looks like a tree right there. These are all trees. Of course, there are some that are missing. You could always go back to it and try to hit it. If it goes beyond, then that means your tolerance is too loose. So you might have to select something that's a little bit less. Okay, you don't have to be too accurate with this because this is just an example thing, but try to get it as best you can. Now that we colored the trees, guess what we're going to color next?
The lawn?
Yes, the lawn! So in order to do that, we could either turn off the tree layer, which means that we have nothing turned on right now, and turn on the lawn layer. So make that the visible layer, and now you should be able to color it up. So we'll select the paint bucket tool. We'll select a lighter green, let's say. I'm going to select which green? I'll select this green right here, this chartreuse-like thing. Please make sure that the green is showing up on the foreground color. And I kind of misled you guys where I said these are the colors that's going to be there. Whatever color that you select, Photoshop is basically making a tally of all the colors and stuff that you used. That's why it's showing up, so that you could always come back and use that, refer to that color instead of trying to hunt and peck and all that stuff. But the actual color that's going to be painted is this. Even if you select this one, you might not have it set up so that it shows up that way. If you look at this area right here as a foreground color, you should be okay. So right now, go ahead and use a paint bucket. Oops, right now I'm on the wrong layer, so activate the lawn layer, and then the lawn area. Whoops, too much. Control Z. So I might have to change the tolerance to, I'll try 10. There you go. Sometimes it won't pick everything. Sometimes you'll have to go pixel by pixel. But let's see. Do the best you can. If you get too tired of selecting pixel by pixel, you might change the tolerance again. I'm going to try to be as lazy as possible. Like right here, I'm going to have problems. I do know that because there's no pixel right here, right? So now I'm going to have to go way in at 1 and see if that'll just get that area. And once I made that little border, I should be able to select a higher tolerance and try to get that through. Okay, so if you already see a problem, you can kind of get in front of it. If not, you will just kind of deal with it by repainting it another color or something. So like I said, it's basically looking for like pixel colors to exchange it with the color that you want. And like I said, for this exercise, you don't have to be too you don't have to be too accurate with this thing. Unless you're one of those anally retentive person. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to leave the road alone and leave it as white.